Welcome everyone to Java Coding Community. In today's tutorial I will be explaining the basics of object-oriented programming in Java. I will be explaining classes and objects and also the private and public keywords. So let's just go right into it. Okay, first let's do some theoretical background. So a class is a collection of fields, and if you're new to Java, fields are similar to variables, and those fields hold some data and methods that work with those values. The most important thing to know is that they define a new data type. So when you create a new class, you actually create a new data type. This might be confusing, but in object-oriented programming, you can create your own data types. So a class is a data type, but the class object is its value. So a class is like a blueprint. In it, you create a model, and an instance of that blueprint is called an object. And let's demonstrate this on an example. Today we'll be modeling a car. So we'll have a class called car that will represent a car. Let's go to new class and let's call it car and let's save it in tutorials OP YouTube. And we'll include our main. Okay, now that we're inside our class, we can start coding. The first thing we'll be doing is creating a string that will hold the car's name. So we do that by typing private string name. And this in Java is called an instance field because it is connected to an object, and every object will have its own name. So as we said, this is a blueprint, but every unique object will actually hold the name. And this is an instance field. On the other hand, we can create a class field, and we do that with the static keyword. So let's do that. Private static final int year of production. And let's say that all the cars were produced in year 2020. And we want to do that inside our whole class, so every object will have the same year of production. And we do that with the static keyword. And the final is here to let us know that it's a constant value. So the difference between these two variables is that every object will have a different name, and this is based on the whole class, so every object will have the same year of production. The next thing we want to model is the car color. So we do that the same like name. So we type private string color. And now we have a car that has a name, has a color, and every car has the same year of production. The next thing we want to do is initialize our values. In Java, you do that by creating a constructor. A constructor is a special method that is used to initialize some values. And you type it like this. So you type public and then class name, so car, and then the parameters you want to pass. So we want to pass the name and we want to pass the color. And now we want to assign those values to our instance fields, name and color. And you do it like this. So you type this name equals name. And let's stop here for a bit and explain this. So as you can see, Eclipse colors them differently because they're not the same values. They're not the same variables. So this refers to this one. As you can see, Eclipse colored it for us. So this refers to an instance field, and name refers to the name we passed. So if we type 1, 2, 3, and here 1, 2, 3, you can clearly see the difference. But it's a common practice that you type the same names like this. So don't get confused. This can be a little confusing for starters, but this keyword refers to an instance field. So this one over here. And this name is from our parameters. And we want to assign the colors. So we type this. And now we have our own data type, and it is time to create an object of that class. So we can create our car variable, and let's name it C. And it is a variable that will hold our car object, but it is important to note that we currently do not create the object. In Java, you create a new object by using the new operator, and we'll do it in the next line. C equals to new car, and then you pass the arguments from our constructor. So we'll pass the name BMW and the color red. And now we have our class car object. And let's say you really need that car's name. You really need to use that in a function. You need to print it out on the screen. The user can, I don't know, change the color maybe. And how do you do that? So you do that in Java with something called getters and setters, and it's just a fancy name for a method that returns something that we need. So a getter gets us the name and the setter sets us the name or the color or any variable. And don't get confused with that, it's just a fancy name as I said. And now we will create that method that operates on an object. We'll call it public and it will return a string. It will be called getName and it will have no parameters, and the only thing it will do is it will return this dot name. So it will return the name as a string of the object you call it upon. Same thing goes with methods. So if it doesn't contain a static keyword, it will be called upon objects. And static methods can be called from anywhere. And I will demonstrate it here. So if we type this, sysout, and type C, so it's our object dot get name, and we save and run the program, you will see that over here we have a BMW. And to show you that it is different for every object, we'll create a new object. So car B equals new car, let's call it Mercedes and blue color, and do the same thing. B.getName, you will see the BMW and Mercedes in here. Basically, the point of non-static methods is that they perform differently on every object you call them upon. But if we were to create a static method, so let's create public static method that will return nothing, so void called print something with no parameters, and type sysout, I am just printing text, and save it and go to main. We do not have to call it upon an object, so we don't have to do c.print something. We can just do print something and it will always perform the same, as you can see. So that's the difference between a static and the non-static method. And also, if you're confused about the private and public keywords, at the end of this video, which is now, I will include a really useful table that compares them, so you can pause the video and check it out for yourself. But basically it is just the access they are called access modifiers, so you can access them from different classes and so on. But I will put the table so you can see it for yourself. And that's it for today's tutorial. Hopefully you now have a better understanding of classes and objects in Java. Let me know if you need any help. Please comment it and I will try to answer, I will try to explain. And that's pretty much it. See you guys in the next video. Bye!